Set? Good. Good morning, my compatriots. Good morning, fellow compatriots. My name is Prince Boubacar Aminata Sankano, Deputy Government Spokesperson, deputizing the spokesperson and Presidential Advisor Ibrahim Sankare. We are gathered today for another engagement as part of our political will of engaging the citizens at all times to update them on the activities and progress of the government. Today, as you all know, the subject matter is the new constitution. As we are all witnessing the bad pains of a third republic, all of us have an important role to play. Before proceeding, I would like us to pray in our individual ways. Amen. May our prayers be answered. Thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge the presence of delegates, our host, Honorable Minister of Information, Dr. Ibrahim Assise, Honorable Minister of Justice, Attorney General, Dauda Jallo, Madam Ida Pearson, Special Advisor on Finance and Administration at Ministry of Justice, my brother DPS Kinte, Minister of Information, our indefatigable Director of Information Service, Madam Aisha Davis, our Information Officer, Zainab Jobate, ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you all for coming to today's press conference. Without wasting time, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Information, Dr. Ibrahim Assise, to give up a roundup of activities that the government has undertaken the last period. That will be followed by the statement of the Honorable Minister of Justice, then question and answer session, which for the sake of time, I implore you to limit yourself to 2 questions. This is an ongoing dialogue. By midday, there are other engagements, editorial deadlines. We also have other engagements. Let's keep it brief, and I also encourage you to use our local languages. It's very important, since we are beaming this program live across the country. It's important that the citizens see themselves in it through all the languages they can understand. Honorable Minister, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, members of the press. Good morning, the Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General, Honorable Dauda Jallo, and your team. Thank you for accepting our invitation to come and take part in this monthly press conference. I welcome members of the press to this very important monthly press conference that we organize at the Ministry of Information to ensure that we bridge the gap, the information gap between the government and the public. Now, the media fraternity is a critical partner. You are the focal point between the government and the people. We provide information, and you share that information to the public. We thank you for your support and your partnership. In our drive to ensure proactive disclosure of information, that is why we organize events like the press conference and the Mansakunda, but also other events to provide the public with authentic, accurate, relevant, and timely information. This, we think, is part of our drive as a government to be accountable to the people, but also to be transparent in our drive to consolidate our newfound democracy. Now, before we start the press conference, I'd like to bring you updates from government since we last met. The first update, as you are all aware, there was a small border issue, a challenge between the Gambia and Senegal at border in Farafenni, when the Gambia government introduced an e-tracking system to track trucks in transit from Senegal to Casamas. This caused some issue, leading to protests at the border. The Gambia government sent a delegation, the Senegalese government sent a delegation. Our delegation was led by the Honorable Minister of Transport and Trade, and their counterparts from Senegal. We met in Mansakonko, the famous Mansakonko Accord, and we agreed on some key points to be able to resolve the situation. And I think the accords were mutually beneficial to both countries, but also it will enhance the bilateral ties, the strong bilateral and brotherly ties between Gambia and Senegal. The second update has to do with the inspection tour by the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, accompanied by cabinet ministers and senior government officials, embarked on an inspection tour of ongoing projects across the country. This tour reflects the President's commitment to ensuring national progress and development. Among the sites the President visited, as you know, the government of the Gambia, through partners, particularly MRC Holland Foundation, is building extra 250 houses. They call them dormitories at the Gambia College for Gambia College students. Apart from, in addition to repairing and renovating existing dormitories, the government, with partnership with MRC Holland Foundation, is also building extra 250 to 300 dormitories for the purpose and use of Gambia College students. We also visited, and the President also visited, the new USET building. The University of Science and Tech is building a massive building behind the Gambia College premises there in Brikama. The work is ongoing and has reached a very advanced stage. The President also visited the new hospital in Farato with 1,500 beds, also advanced stage. This is to ensure that the Gambia builds ultra-modern healthcare facilities in the country to provide not only access to healthcare, but also quality healthcare. In addition, the President also proceeded and visited the new ultra-modern medicines lab build facility they are building at Brusubi. And then the stadium works that are going on, the President also visited as well. This underscores the government's commitment to provide infrastructural development to boost and enhance socio-economic development. The third update has to do with the launch of a climate change adaptation project. On August 9, 2024, the Vice President, His Excellency Mohamed B.S. Jallow, launched the Scaling Up Locally Led Adaptation and Transformation Humanitarian Responses to Climate Change. This project is led by the Gambia Red Cross and is a major step forward in addressing the country's environmental challenges. Update 4, Gambian Turkish Business Council meeting. President Barrow held discussions with members of the Gambian Turkish Business Council on potential trade opportunities and investments. The President advised the Council to not only focus on exporting raw materials, but also engage in manufacturing, in alignment with the government's goal of achieving universal electricity access by 2025, which could attract further investments into this country. Update 5, UNDP signs MOU with MOHAST. It's called MOU with UNDP with Uniport at USET. On August 23, 2024, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Per Gomez, signed an MOU with the UNDP to establish a Uniport at USET's Canifing campus. This state-of-the-art facility will focus on innovation, technological development, and skills acquisition to tackle youth unemployment. Update 6, Gambia-China collaboration on TVET education. The Ministry of Higher Education again has signed 2 MOUs with the Yinhua Polytechnic of Construction and Liugong Machinery South Africa Limited to enhance TVET education and establish boreholes at TVET centers. This marks a significant step in strengthening bilateral ties between the Gambia and the People's Republic of China. Update 7, the Gambia resumes diplomatic ties with Iran. The Republic of the Gambia has resumed diplomatic relations with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Update 8 has to do with cabinet approvals. Cabinet has approved 3 policy papers aimed at addressing widespread poverty and vulnerability in the Gambia, and these include, amongst others, the proposed duty waiver policy presented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Sidi Keta, but also the National Action Plan to End Plastic Pollution in the Gambia by 2033, presented by the Minister of Environment, Honorable Rohi John Manjang. The penultimate update has to do with the Badia Finance Facility. The Badia Finance Facility is now open for application from the Gambian business community, offering new opportunities for economic growth, but also to help stabilize food prices in this country. And finally, VP Jallow visits Senegal. Vice President, His Excellency Mohamed B.S. Jallow recently concluded a 2-day visit to Senegal, where he met with Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko to strengthen ties in fisheries, defense, and MCC cooperation, focusing on peace, mutual development, and capacity building. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the updates from government. And as the chair has announced, today we have a very important guest. We all know that for the past 2 weeks, the debate that has filled the airspace has to do with the draft constitution, which has been gazetted by the Gambia government to the Ministry of Justice. So, Mr. Chair, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that roundup of what the government has been doing for the past years and for the past few weeks, rather. Government work is continuing, 24 hours, we don't rest, and I'm glad that, we're making strides. Yeah, as hinted, we are here talking about our upcoming constitution. Like I said, the bad pains of a third republic. We have to debate it, and as people of the book, it's not something new. Constitutionalism, Honorable Minister, if you permit me, is nothing new. It's part of our culture. We look at the Mandeng Carta, Kurg and Fugan, whereby our ancestors met and crafted a very beautiful constitution, which has been inscribed by the UNESCO in 2009 as intangible world heritage. So therefore, while we discuss, we debate, we should not lose the fact that, if we don't teach people about civilization, advanced knowledge, and constitutionalism, we should also not allow these discussions to take our humanity out of us. So it's important. There are various schools of thought that we have to fight, but at the end of the day, it's a compromise. Let us not be what Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا تَفَرَقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَةُ. The people of the book, they end up disagreeing. That was seen the clear proof, and the clear proof is the Gambia. A constitution that guarantees stability, respect for human dignity, balance between population growth, and pressure on our natural resources. Any constitution that does not provide the template for enduring peace is not worth it. So as we debate, as we listen to the government and the Honorable Minister, we should all think at the end of the day, compromise towards the common good, towards the clear proof. On that note, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General to take us through his statements, followed by questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ole, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and good morning to the audience that are following this press conference wherever you are. I'll first start by giving what I called an introductory remark, after which then we will go into the actual press conference. We will take your questions and attempt to answer as much of them as possible until wherever the chairman permits us to remain standing and answering the questions. The Constitutional Bill 2024 is a step by government of the Gambia to strengthen democracy and entrench the rule of law after decades of authoritarian rule. The journey towards this new constitution began in 2018 when the government established the Constitutional Review Commission through the Constitutional Review Commission Act of 2017. The CRC was tasked with drafting a new constitution that would reflect the will of the people of the Gambia and address the shortcomings of the 1997 constitution, which was viewed as inadequate to uphold the tenets of democracy and or provide good governance. I think I would need my second eye. After 18 months of extensive consultations with Gambians across the country, in the diaspora, the CRC submitted its draft constitution to the President Adama Barrow in March 2020. The draft constitution was regarded as a pivotal instrument to guide the Gambia through a trajectory to democratic transition. However, when the draft constitution was presented to the National Assembly, it was severely opposed. Unfortunately, the draft constitution passed the first reading in the legislative process, but did not sail through the second reading. Some major reasons that account for the failure to sail through the second reading include the term limits for the presidency, the retroactivity of the limits, provisions regarding citizenships, and processes for impeaching a sitting president, among others. The rejection and subsequent failure of the draft constitution highlighted deep political divisions between those who largely supported the draft and those who opposed it. In response to this impasse, the government sought the assistance of International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, International IDEA, to mediate and find a way forward. The mediation process involved several rounds of consultations with political parties, civil society, other stakeholders. Despite efforts to build a consensus, some contentious issues remain unresolved. Undeterred by few unresolved contentions, the Constitution Bill 2024 emerged from the process and reflects the outcome of the efforts at mediation. It also incorporates adjustments based on lessons learned from the failed draft constitution of the CRC. Moreover, the Constitution Bill 2024 represents a renewed attempt to make an autonomous constitution that can garner the necessary support in National Assembly and be endorsed by the people of the Gambia at the referendum. This bill aims to establish a legal framework that not only addresses the historical injustices of the past, but also lay a solid foundation to a democratic and prosperous future for the Gambia. Consultations preceding the draft Constitution 2024. Following the rejection of the draft Constitution prepared by the Constitutional Review Commission in September 2020, the 2020 draft, the government, through the Ministry of Justice and in partnership with International IDEA, facilitated a series of mediation sessions on the revival of a draft constitution for the Gambia. Since 2020, when the draft was struck out, the drafting team from the ministry and IDEA have worked to adjust the different clauses of the draft constitution on which action was agreed by stakeholders. IDEA met His Excellency the President, Adama Barrow, on the 12th of January 2021 to brief him on progress and share thoughts about next steps envisaged to ensure that the revised constitutional document successfully sails through Parliament and is approved at referendum. IDEA and the ministry engaged with media editors, as well as leaders of the Gambia Civil Society Transitional Justice Working Group, that is the TJNW, the Gender Platform, and the Youth Forum. During these engagements, it clarified this information regarding their review process, especially regarding financing, and launched initiatives aimed at catalyzing an upsurge of support for their work towards new constitution. These initiatives included participatory national and community radio programs involving listener phoning-ins. Overall, significant progress has been made since the mediation began in December 2020. Supported by various international partners, and the consultation process has gone through 2 phases, with the goal of reaching a consensus on key contentious issues identified in the CRC draft. The first phase. The first phase of the mediation took place between December 2020 to March 2021, with the support of the United Kingdom Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. Facilitated by His Excellency Goodluck E. Jonathan, former President of the Republic of Nigeria, this phase involved intense consultation with political party leaders, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, and faith-based organizations. This culminated into a high-level consultative retreat for the political party leaders on the draft constitution of the Gambia, held at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja, Nigeria, from the 23rd to the 25th of February 2021. Facilitated by His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, the event aimed to secure party leadership commitment to the constitutional process. Convened at the instance of the Office of the Attorney General, Minister of Justice of the Gambia, and the International IDEA, the retreat was attended by leaders of all but 2 parties in the Gambia, and it was also attended by ECOWAS Commission representatives. In preparation for this consultative retreat in Abuja, the revised draft of constitution had been circulated to the leaders of political parties and civil society for their information, review, and any further input prior to gathering. The purpose of this consultative retreat was for political party leaders and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to meet with Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to assess the adjustments that have been made to the CRC draft. It also afforded an opportunity to Dr. Jonathan, as well as the ECOWAS leadership, to encourage the party leaders to review their commitments to seeing the constitutional process to fruition. Finally, it served to facilitate a post-mediation mission to the Gambia for His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to meet with all political party leaders and address members of the National Assembly. By the end of this phase, a consensus was reached on 21 out of 24 issues identified, leading to an agreement to restart the process after the 2021 general elections, or presidential and parliamentary election cycle. Second phase. The second phase of the mediation began in August 2023, supported by the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the European Union delegation to the Gambia, facilitated by His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, AU High Representative on Silencing the Guns, and 3 local moral guarantors, Imam Dabo, Bishop Bani Manga, and Mrs. Fatou Jang Senghor. This phase involved follow-up continuation with party leaders on the remaining 3 or 4 issues of contention. On the 12th of August 2023, the eminent person, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers, and the IDEA Regional Director and his team arrived in the Gambia. The eminent person and the local guarantors conducted bilateral consultations with political party leaders, including the leaders of NPP, Honorable C.D. S.K. Njai, UDP, His Excellency Usainu Dabo, PDOIS, Honorable Halifa Saleh, GDC, Honorable Mama Kande, on the possibility of reintroducing the draft constitution by seeking consensus on certain aspects of the draft constitution that are considered contentious among political parties. On the 14th of August 2023, there was a working lunch with all political party leaders at the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara ICE International Conference Center. This was followed by information and consultation session where leaders expressed their thoughts and opinion on the reintroduction of the draft constitution and overall reiterated their support for the reintroduction of the draft constitution. In the evening, His Excellency Dr. Chambers and his team briefed the international partners on the consultations they had with the political parties and the way forward. On the 15th of August 2023, His Excellency Dr. Chambers held an information session with the members of the Inter-Party Committee at the Sadauda Kairaba International Conference Center on the Constitution. This was followed by another session with CSO platforms involved in the constitutional reform process. On February 12, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers paid a courtesy visit to His Excellency President Barrow of the Gambia at State House. The purpose of the visit was to brief the President on the consultations conducted thus far with various stakeholders regarding the draft constitution. Dr. Chambers provided an update on the progress of the consultations and discussed the next steps in the consultative process. On February 12th and 13th, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambers held a consultative meeting with members of the National Assembly at the International Conference Center to discuss the draft constitution with a view to paving a way of its reintroduction in the National Assembly. On February 12th, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Chambers hosted a working dinner at the Coco Ozone Hotel to brief international partners on the draft constitution. The event provided a platform for Dr. Chambers to update attendees on the consultative process with different stakeholders. The goal of the briefing was to facilitate feedback and strengthen international support for the constitutional process and ensuring continued collaboration and transparency moving forward. On February 13, 2024, His Excellency Dr. Chambers held bilateral consultative with political party leaders represented in the National Assembly regarding the draft constitution. The consultation took place at Coco Ozone Resort and included discussions with Honorable Halifa Sallah, leader of PDOIS, His Excellency Usainu Dabo of UDP, and Honorable Mama Kande, the leader of the GDC. His Excellency Dr. Chambers departed from the Gambia on the 14th of February 2024. Additionally, information sessions were held with various stakeholders, including civil society organizations, traditional rulers, faith-based organizations. An induction session for National Assembly members and capacity development session for the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs were also conducted during this period. Therefore, during the second phase, a consensus was reached by National Assembly members on compromises reached during the first phase and on the remaining issues of contention. This consensus was confirmed by party leaders at the National Assembly. However, there were a few technical issues such as cross-carpeting by MPs and citizenship which were not settled, and further intra-party dialogue and consensus building with independent members of the National Assembly was recommended. In conclusion, I just want to reiterate that there was a consultative process for the draft constitution in the Gambia which led to significant progress and brought parties closer to an agreement on key issues. The involvement of diverse stakeholders and leadership facilitation were crucial in advancing the process. There is no doubt that further discussions and dialogue are still needed to reach a full consensus. The report from the mediation process was one of the documents considered by the Cabinet during its review. Building a constitution is a complex task, as it aims to address numerous societal issues in a single document. Due to the significant national issues a constitution seeks to tackle, it garners greater attention and contention than ordinary legislation, which usually focuses on specific aspects of society. The government of the Gambia remains committed to ushering in a new progressive constitution that is an embodiment of our collective will and resolve for democracy, good governance, separation of powers, sustainable environment and equitable distribution and use of resources, rule of law, equitable observance of principles of fundamental human rights and freedoms. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. That was my opening remarks. And subject to the chairman now, we could take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for taking us through this rendition. Indeed, there was adequate consultation going through the timeline of activities taking place together with our partners at home and abroad. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Suleiman Kamara, Presidential Advisor on Cybersecurity and MPP Media. I'll also acknowledge the presence of all other brothers and sisters who arrived lately. Thank you so much. Going through the minister's statement, it's important to understand that, the process has been very consultative, and he mentioned what I mentioned initially. Compromise is the end of the day. We cannot be engaged in endless dialogue. We must draw a line because we have the burden of history. We have the burden of responsibility our children are waiting. So it cannot be endless consultation, push and pull an agreement. Compromise, consensus building are the key words that all of us must promote. Indeed, we can disagree. Which school of thought are you following up? Going through what the minister has been saying, one can see the various legal schools of jurisprudence are there. Those who want analytical process of John Austin and Jeremy Barton saw themselves there. Those who insist on Roscoe Pound's sociological approach also saw themselves in the consultative process. Some of us who are biased towards the historical approach of John Savigny saw ourselves in the whole process. Again, the philosophers, mention about the moral guarantors. Of course, they will lean towards Immanuel Kant and other philosophers who talks about moral balance and social harmony. Yes, the realists will say, no, why can't we follow Gray and allow the realism to take place? So one can see that the entire process has been very inclusive, both in terms of academia, scholarship, and also in our culture. Thank you so much, and then I'm proud as a Gambian, and I'm proud of being the deputy spokesperson of this government. Definitely, we are doing something. And on that note, I would like to open the floor for questions. Like I said, let's limit ourselves to 2 questions. Feel free to ask in our native languages. So this is a national process. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. So, good. I need space.
Your name and your media organization. 2, and ladies, gender bias,
Put this up.
technicians, are they okay to ask from their location or they need to come? They need to come. Going forward, we'll need a floating mic. It makes life easier. Yeah, okay. There are floating mics. You can use them.
What do you want to do? You're in charge.
Zaina, hold the mic.
Just take the mic?
Yes, yeah. One side and the other side. Yeah, come float. Ask question and the next
They're
person.
saying they need me, so I don't know. What do you want to do?
Okay, come here and ask. You can ask and after they need.
I'm under your instructions, whatever you say. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Yusuf Taylor. We really appreciate the opportunity to have this press engagement with you. Honorable Minister, we heard you yesterday, and today you reiterated the issue of consultation. What's your response to those who are saying that you are misleading the public, that there was no consultation, that what was there was that there was some engagement to revive the Constitution, which you cannot compare to the CRC's consultation at all? So that's the first question, and I have another one, right? Okay. My second question, sir. You promised back in May that you would be gazetting the draft Constitution in mid-June. Well, the word you used was hope, to be fair to you, right? And that might have allowed it to come. But now, you gazetted in mid-August, 14th, which means the 100 days ends in 24th November, if I am to count the numbers right. That means that the promises of the president of a draft constitution in 2024 is impossible. Your response to that, sir?
So I don't need that hand mic?
No, you don't need that. The next person.
Okay. The allegation that I'm misleading the public regarding there was no consultation is not true. There is a report that emanated from those consultations. The political parties that converge in Abuja, one of them is Dr. Sise. He was in opposition at the time, leading a political party. They were going through the Constitution clause by clause, agreeing to disagree. And then there's a report that came out of that. So the report is in my ministry. If some of you would want to get that, you can get it. So if I'm misleading, then that's easy to prove. Why would I stand and face the public and say there was consultation, there were reviews, clauses were discussed, and changes were effected, when that did not happen? What benefit would I get from doing that? So there was actually consultation. And clauses were discussed, agreements were reached, certain clauses to change. There were some stalemates on certain areas, and each round of consultation generated reports. And these reports are generated by International IDEA, an international NGO, who have no reason to give me a report that is not true. So on the second bit, yes, this is government. Governments everywhere, we make commitments, we make promises, but sometimes the realities don't help you to realize your timelines. So we regret that we are not meeting our timelines, but we are committed. Everything being okay, the Constitution should be in place sometime in 2025, if it sailed through all the processes. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question. They need your beautiful or handsome face.
Handsome. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. This is Kema Ansumani. I work for the Algamba Times newspaper. Honorable Minister, you did mention there were consultations with various stakeholders. So I would like to know what is the view of the political party leaders on the issue of the immunity of the president from legal proceeding. I want to know what is their position on that. Also, I would like to know the issue of sponsorship, that is children going to school up to grade 12. We have seen that the 2024 draft that we call the Barros draft, has removed, sponsorship for grade 10 to grade 12 students. We would want to know, how do you reach to that conclusion? Okay. Besides that, I would also like to express my disappointment to the Minister of Information on one of their programs that they host. at the Kachadula Bantaba, where they were against or vilifying our story on allegations leveled against the Minister of Environment. And I would be very happy if he can retract those, those unwanted, descriptions that he made on us on that platform there. And also disappointed on that journalists, the Raparaba journalists, we call them, who create platform whereby authorities, state authorities, will go and vilify journalists without doing their work, without reaching to us. I am very disappointed on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honorable Minister, let's get a matter of orders. I don't want to use my veto powers. I can cancel everything and we all back home. Don't allow me to use that. Let's limit ourselves. We're here to talk about the draft constitution. You had adequate time to address that issue with the minister. Today we are talking about the draft constitution, about the future of our children. You mentioned about the school kids. Those are the issues here. Whatever outstanding issue that is there, you had ample time to discuss. So please, let's limit ourselves to a video. If not, the show will be over. Thank you.
On the presidential immunity, I don't remember the political parties discussing that. So probably this is some of the issues, like I said. Cabinet did not limit its review specifically only to what the political parties discussed. Cabinet went beyond that to do a comprehensive review of the draft. So on presidential immunity, I don't think the political parties that were involved in the discussions discussed that clause. I can't remember, but I stand to be corrected by Doctor, who was a participant there, because I don't think immunity issue of the president was discussed. On the issue of free compulsory right to basic and secondary education, which the cabinet have tweaked now to only limit free compulsory and free education to basic education. This is purely informed by the practicality, the enforceability, the ability of government to implement it. That's the point. So education, as far as the position of government is concerned, is made free, accessible at basic education level. And at secondary level, the realization of free education at secondary and post-secondary level is contingent on government capacity. So the realization of that right
Where's the technician here?
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I just have two questions. And after the gazetting of the Constitution, the publication was not made. Many Gambians wanted to get a copy of the Constitution. Why is it not available? The printing has stopped, and for us, Fourier has been writing about it. I don't know whether you have seen it. And this is very fundamental when it comes to why is it not being published. Secondly, also, now it is being gazetted. It's going to the level of the National Assembly. What is the plan of the ministry in trying to engage the members of the National Assembly henceforward before it has been discussed? Because the sentiments actually that we have seen is most of them are having reservations, and they will just stall the process. And no one wants this process to stall anymore.
Thank you. I must say I'm a bit surprised that the printed copies are not available. The instruction was from the date of gazetting, printing should have commenced. So yes, I'll follow that through. Thank you for that information. I believe the printing is on the way. We've ordered for certain copies, including, that is linked to your second question. We are providing all National Assembly members with advance copies, and we planned some engagements with them ahead of time. Like you have heard in my introductory remarks, we have already started engaging them before even the gazetting. And now that it's gazetted, there are planned activities that are outlined for engagement with the National Assembly members ahead of the tabling sometime in December. But the printing, we will rectify that quickly. It should have been available. That was my understanding. But we'll make sure that it is available. Copies are available.
You can come this side. All those who want to ask questions will come nearer. It will be easier.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Arajata from the Voice newspaper. So my question is, unlike the 2020 draft constitution, the 2024 draft removed the National Assembly from participating in the appointment of Chief Justice and other officials. I'd like to know why is that. Thank you.
Basically, most of the appointments subjected to National Assembly confirmation, whether it's judicial officers, cabinet ministers, and I believe some heads of agencies have been removed. The National Assembly confirmation process have been removed. That's the position of government. That has been our way of governance since independence. We have never subjected our judicial appointments to National Assembly confirmation, and it's working well for us, and government is of the position that that is what is best suited.
To just two. So the first one is you mentioned that there was a consensus reached in Abuja where the political parties, with the exception of PDOIS, who did not participate, reached a consensus except on one issue. The current draft reflect the so-called Abuja draft. Which particular CSOs or non-government stakeholders were consulted, and what was the nature of the consultations?
What we will do is we will make the names of both the parties that participated in Abuja and CSOs that participated in the consultations in different rounds available subsequently. I don't have them on top of my head. I know CSOs participated. I think in my introductory statement I even mentioned one or two. And I'll make that statement also available to you. Now, with your first question was the parties that met in Abuja, their consensus?
It reflects the 2020.
Oh yes, the report of issues that were discussed during the consultation all the way to Abuja form part of the documents that I took to Cabinet. So Cabinet saw it and reflected on them. It's a different thing whether everything is captured as it was agreed in Abuja. That's a different thing. But yes, it formed part of the documents that were available to Cabinet during this consideration stage.
Good morning. My name is Hadisise. I'm working with Askanwi. I have one question. Is there actually an explanatory note, like you stated in your press release?
Yes, the objective was to even hand it over to you today here. We are a bit delayed, but yes, there is an explanatory note that all of you will see. Probably we will let Dr. load it, and you can all download it from his side. Yes, there is an explanatory note. Pretty much ready. My aim was to circulate it here when we come here, but there are still some few cleanings that we are doing. And allow us just to complete that, and we will say it. Hopefully, El Taylor took me on deadline, so let me know. but you will have it pretty soon. It's almost done.
I'm sure it's going to be in national language, if not, I'll be disappointed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. maa ngi gis tamit di nuyu ñëpp suma laaj bi dinaa ko laaj ci olof maa ngi tudd Modou Lamine Diouf di liggéeyal Hilltop FM radio am draft constitution bu 2021 bi gis bu 2020 bi even though gisoon nañ li si dugg si xaalis bi mu àggee si National Assembly bi nangutoo amut ci woon ba mujjee daanu li ma laajte mooy ndax mun ngaa leeralal askan wi seetaan lan moo utee si bii ngeen gazette ak bi nga xamante ne mooy biñ nanguwutoon si National Assembly ba nguur yaakaar ne bii su demee dina war a mën a jàll lan mooy ute yi fa am pour nga leeralal ko askan wi jërëjëf.
ute yu fa am bari na tuuti because liñ change si draft bi demoon si National Assembly bi in 2020 wécci yiñ fa def xal nañoo sakkan tuuti so yaakaaroon nañ ne li taxoon nangutoo bañ a am yu bari si yooyu génnee nañ leen boobu bokk na si ne term limit bu ñoo wax ne benn président waruta yore réew mi lu passé ñaari term amoon na liñ defoon si constitution bi si transitional clause bi ne président bi bu constitution bi bu jaalee si jamono kim fekka yaa ngi toog su jaalee sa mandat boobu la compte bi di dooree den yow da nga am benn opportunity rek pour nga contest one more time boobu xëccoo bu bari amoon nañ si because ñii waxoon nañ ne ki toog mandaayam bi amee wut ko si constitution bu ees bi beneen constitution a ko jox mandat kon constitution bu ees buy ñëw waruta wax dara si mandat bi nga xam ne ki toog am na ko ba pare xëccoo boobu bari woon na boobu génnee nañ ko si amoon na xëccoo bu demee woon si boori lii mujjee laajte nii sax mooy mbiri confirmation président buñ sànnilee carte président ba pare ba mu toog mu war a tànn ay ministre am 2020 draft bi mu ne président amut kum tànn kum nominate pour mu nekk ministre am foog kooku dem National Assembly njëkka National Assembly nangu balaa moo mun a doon ministre boobu itam génne nañ ko so léegi président su fekkee ne niñ ko defee proposé léegi bu jaalee président comme nu moo doxee léegi te depuis indépendant noonu la doon doxee président bu askan bi fal am na cër am na sañ-sañ pour mu tànn kim neex mu dox ko ministre du te fekka du dem National Assembly pour laaj leen na nangu nañ da nanguwuñ ak yeneen so lu bari lañ changé yaakaar am na ne suñ demee National Assembly waaye changement bi du jeexut because suñ demee National Assembly in fact National Assembly ñoo am doole bi pour wécci luñ leen neex foofu tam wécci mun na fa am waaye yaakaar nañ ne léegi li gënoon a nekk problème 2020 mooy dañ amoon a lot of civil society campaign ak presso bi waxoon député yi ne bu leen ko laal loolu amoon na coow bi loolu amoon na doole trop so député yi ñu ne gannaaw duñ ko mën a laal te duñ ko mën a bàyyi mu jaala nu mel nii kon mu duñ ko approuve foog naa léegi ñun yëpp jàngee nañ si loolu foog naa ñu bari si Gambien yi nangu nañ léegi député yi am nañ sañ-sañ comme lu leen lu waa dox am nañ doole pour lépp lu ñëw si ñoom ñu mun koo gëstu ñoom itam ñu déglu askan bi ñu mun koo changer after mu mun a jaala so gannaaw loolu léegi ñu bari kenn dégguma kenn this time ku wax ne National Assembly amuñ doole pour ñu bañ a changer dara si draft bi kon su fekkee ne National Assembly am nañ doole pour changer ko def ko mu tane mu gën a baax kon bu boobaa buñ ko changer ba ñoom si seen boppa nuñ ko buggee mu melee noonu yaakaar nañ ne léegi amuñ benn reason pour ñu bañ mu jaala loolu mooy suma yaakaar.
Good morning. My name is Ali Jallo from the Fatu Network. My question is with regards to diaspora voting, because Section 39 of the 1997 Constitution that stated that every Gambian, including those resident outside the jurisdiction, is entitled to register to vote in an election and to be voted for. However, this section is not being observed by the electoral body. We want to know if the current draft has any provisions or will there be any progress with regards to the diaspora voting. Thank you.
There is a provision in the 2020 draft, although very limited, on diaspora voting. The good thing is Cabinet did not touch it. We left it as it is. We hope it could be improved on when it gets to the National Assembly, because coincidentally the electoral bill is also at the National Assembly, which is still under consideration. So hopefully, the National Assembly will look into it in detail. But adequate provisions were being considered in the elections bill. So there is a provision for progressive realization of registration and voting rights of diasporans, Gambians in the diaspora. It has been provided by the 2020 CRC draft. Cabinet did not change that.
Thank you. We're running against time. You can ask a few questions. We need more. This is on panel.
We need to be an whole hour. We're going to be here. We have lots of questions.
Okay, I'm Isam Bono, King FM and Upright Media TV. There is a great concern about a particular chapter which has been deleted from this 2024 draft, that is chapter 5, which deals with leadership and integrity. And the Honorable Minister tell us why it was deleted.
Okay. This question was asked, I think those who followed the program, my interview yesterday. Basically, Cabinet is of the opinion that it is too prescriptive, very detailed, and if you look at that chapter at the end, there are punitive provisions for violation. So issues of conduct, which are usually very difficult to enforce and implement, are better handled in the subsidiary context-specific legislations than a constitution. Issues of honesty. People should be honest in their jobs. People are supposed to demonstrate certain integrity. It's not traditional having those kind of things in the Constitution. There is a Public Service Act, there is a Public Service Code of Conduct. There are so many instruments in the country that addresses the behavior and conduct of public servants. So putting that in the Constitution and then making it punitive, and a violation can even, I remember clearly, that you can be banned for life from working in government for violating any of those integrity provisions. And it's very easy to fall foul of an integrity provision because of the vagueness and it's open to all kind of interpretation. So government says this is going to be very, very, very difficult to enforce and implement if you put it as a constitutional issue. Nobody is against people demonstrating and manifesting and behaving in public office with utmost integrity, honesty, and so on. But we can better regulate that in lower legislations, the Act of Parliament, Code of Conduct, and other instruments that govern the public service than making it a constitutional requirement and making it above all, even punitive, to the extent of banning somebody for somebody who's been accused of not being honest in a particular given situation. And if you are found liable, you can be banned for life not to work in government. So we think instead of putting those things in the Constitution, the experts believe that it's better handled in a Public Service Act or in a Code of Conduct like we currently have.
You've already asked your two questions. Now,
Since others are not asking, why are you stopping me from asking a question?
It's not that. We have to follow the because there is a procedure, there are laid down rules. You can always go to the Mansakunda, there are this is continuous engagement. You cannot have everything at the same time. So let's not, go beyond the rules. Any additional questions? If there are no additional questions, I'll give you a chance to answer a supplementary question. But let's give chance.
You've taken a lot of time to ensure there are no additional questions.
Let's give chance to others. This is an ongoing process.
Go ahead.
The young lady is coming, and then
we're here to ask as many questions as we can, and they answer us. We're fine.
This is a process. It's not an event. Let's avoid the drama and the downtown and focus on the basics.
Good morning, everyone. I am Mariam Kamara from Jungle Online TV. I have seen a part where you guys have changed the presidential aspect. Before it was by birth and then by descendant, but now you've changed to just by birth. What do you think about that? Is it okay, or is it something that's favorable to the Gambians?
I'm not so clear.
It was by birth and descendant, you understand? But
for what? For what?
For the presidential aspect.
You mean you want to say qualification to
contest?
Yeah, the
qualification. Yeah, it was just by birth and descendant, but now you've changed it to just birth.
And your reference is the 2020 or 2020 draft?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, all right. Now, the entire chapter on citizenship, particularly the issue of citizenship by birth and by descent, have been amended by Cabinet. Under the 2020 draft, pretty much citizenship by descent was merged into citizenship by birth. And they more or less abrogated the issue of citizenship by descent. So you can only be a citizen by birth. Government disagreed with this position, and it has restored the two and separated the two. So you can be a Gambian by birth or a Gambian by descent. And then there's an additional two for non-Gambians who wish to become Gambian citizens who can acquire Gambian nationality either through marriage or through registration. So the four categories of citizenship have been restored the way they are currently. In the CRC draft, they were changed. So there was not going to be any distinction between a citizen by descent and a citizen by birth. And government decided to change that back and bring the separation so that it is clear that you are either a citizen by birth or citizen by descent. Of course, the other conditions of acquiring Gambian nationality, like I said, by registration or by marriage, are all in place. So probably that is what might be causing confusion from the person that is asking the question. So we have revamped the citizenship provisions back to the way they are.
Thank you very much. I mean, I've got clarification that we have until 11:30 to wrap up the press conference. So we give chance to those who want to ask their first two questions. If there are no, then we open the floor for those with supplementary questions. Anyone who has two initial questions to ask? We'll do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2.
So now take supplementary.
The floor is open now until 11:30. You can ask your 100 questions. You can ask your 100 questions.
You want me to ask my question?
100 questions, but let me start.
I'm glad that finally we've come to it. Thank you. It's a national dialogue. It's a national issue. We have serious national questions to ask. Minister, thank you very much for the opportunity once again, to ask questions. My question, in your statement just right now, you talked about maintaining the status quo pretty much with regards to appointments of the president appointing. That was the way it was in the 1997, and it's been that way. Excessive powers to the president, which was put in check in the 2020. Now, you say that there's also been consultation. One of the very important recommendations is the issue of the independence of the IEC, which has also been reversed. The president will have the same now powers that he has, which the 2020 was saying change. Is this draft constitution, Barrow's papers, this is what people are calling it, to just give the president excessive powers? Where is the change here? If you're telling us you just want to maintain the 1997, is this the change that was promised to Gambians? The IEC will continue to be controlled by the president at his whims and caprices. Right now, as we speak, there are questions over the term of the IEC chairperson. And we're still going to another election, hopefully referendum or whatever. Where is the change here, Minister? Tell us, we need to know.
Are you done with your 100 questions?
Lots of other questions.
There is a lot of changes in the draft. If you read it, it's just that probably you picked what interests you and you think there's no changes in that. Well, quite a lot. The term limit alone is huge. It's the unprecedented. We have never had a term limit provision in any of our constitution. That's novel. That's huge. There is 50 plus 1. We have not had it in our constitutions before. These two are monumental. So if you ask me what is changed, I can go on. There are so many things that are novel. We have what we call affirmative action in this constitution. That was never there before. Right? Gender representation, women having right to enter parliament, disabled people having right to enter parliament, and other categories of society. So we can go on and on to tell you so many novel things that are in this constitution that are unprecedented in this country that have never been there before. So yes, there are a lot of novelties there. Of course, we may not agree on some of the changes, and that is to be expected, but that doesn't mean to say that there has nothing been new, we are still at the same place. We are making tremendous progress if this constitution should pass.
Thank you, Honorable. This one is an example of the process. It's consultative anyway. We have not been having that before, whereby there's intensive consultation. Citizens can examine every clause of the chapter of the Constitution. This is novelty. You want to have an answer? He stood first. You don't want them to see your face. they need you smiling to them. At them rather.
Don't worry, it's a full man addressing the entire nation. So my next question is, we've seen the 2020 draft falling short after spending a whooping amount of money, you know, and there's speculations that, or anticipations that the current 2024 draft might also fall short. If it happens in the instances, is government thinking of trying to make amendments on the 1997 Constitution? And then my other question would be, you made mention of during your consultations, there were some contentious issues. Could you shed light on how those contentious issues were addressed? Thank you.
It's pretty early for us to think of what should we do, because you will be pessimistic then, to think that this wouldn't go through. I would encourage all of us to play our part in encouraging one another to take this dialogue to the next level. Let's continue to consult. Let's continue to disagree to agree. I said this before, there is no way we can all get our way in a single document that is intended to govern our way of life. We cannot all agree on the content. What you like there is what somebody else wouldn't like in it. So, but we have to manage our differences and aim to reach a consensus. Ultimately, if what binds us is more than what separates us, we can then allow the document to go, and then improvements can be done subsequently. There is no constitution, that is perfect. So there are far older constitutions that are still being amended around the world. So constitutional development is a challenge. So I wouldn't really want to say anything about if this one didn't go through. Let's all be optimistic. Play your part. Let everybody here play his part. Let's not be predicting the unfortunate. Let's make sure we are optimistic and we encourage each other to build consensus. And the differences that arose during the consultations were resolved by the same consultation, the same discussions. The participants were here. They discussed them and agreed to disagree. And then once they reached consensus, they were recorded by whoever were taking the records, and reports were generated. I don't sit in the negotiation rooms. All the consultations that were organized, the government took a back seat. We just allow the parties to do the negotiations, and we only receive a report.
Yeah, thank you. The provision on asset declaration also has raised a number of concerns from civil society and, of course, critics of the government. The provision for ministers and their spouses to declare their assets before coming to office and after leaving office to the Anti-Corruption Commission in the 2020 draft has been changed, meaning that now the ministers and the vice president are required to declare their assets only when coming into office, but are not subjected to do so when leaving office. And this applies to their spouses. Why did the draft try to protect the president and cabinet from declaring their asset at the Anti-Corruption Commission after leaving office? That's the first one. So the second one is critics say this draft reflects the thinking of this current government, which is to entrench itself and protect it from accountability. What do you say to that?
On the first issue of asset declaration, the position of government at this stage is everybody can declare their assets, president, cabinet, vice president, all cabinet members, upon coming into office. Upon leaving office, it depends on reasonable suspicion of Anti-Corruption Commission. They can call on anybody to come and declare. We only remove the automatic declaration of asset by virtue of the fact that you left office. But Anti-Corruption Commission can ask you, upon their forming an opinion about wanting to check something, it can call you back to redeclare. But on entry into office, you declare your assets. If you leave office, it's now left to Anti-Corruption Commission. It's just the automatic trigger that by virtue of the fact you left, you should submit a declaration that has been removed. So Anti-Corruption Commission will be able to call on anybody, president, vice president, cabinet minister who left office to come back and redeclare, especially when they believe there is a disparity between your declaration upon coming into office and where your asset stands at the time when you leave office. So on your second question, no, nobody in cabinet and in government, as far as I know, is thinking of self, because the life of a government is short-lived compared to the life of a country. So we are not motivated by this government, what favors this particular government. Honestly, personally, not, and all my colleagues during the discussions, there were heated debates. You may disagree with the opinions expressed in the draft, but they did so in good faith and in utmost love of country, just like any one of us. But like I said, opinions will differ, but that doesn't define our commitment to the love of the country.
Come on this side, it's easy. Give chance to those. Yeah, but they already raised their hand before you.
Yeah. For me, I have a fear. Like, I see journalists trying to make comparisons, and sometimes we follow sometimes what people say, opinions of people, try to express them as facts. So is the ministry actually considering having engagement for journalists through GPU or even on your own to enlighten journalists about this constituent review process? Because as far as I'm concerned, I have a fear that most of us will mislead the country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my team will take note of that. We will, our partners have plans for engagements. I believe media will be part of it, but I will take this on board to make sure that we have a proactive engagement with the media so that you play your rightful role in informing instead of misinforming the population. I think that is very important. We need to inform the population with facts and not only taking opinions and swaying the opinion of the general public by only relying on certain opinion. Because this is a process where different opinions will be formulated. And as a journalist, I think it's your responsibility to make sure you convey to the population. Of course, opinions are entitled to be conveyed, but your role is to inform and not to misinform. We will help you in that endeavor. We will engage the media proactively throughout the process.
This is a press conference. You cannot tell me what to ask and what not to ask. Please let us not go into that. No. Let us not go into that.
The press conference about the draft constitution, that's the topic.
Let us not go into that, my
no,
brother.
just
ask
a question and then give chance to others.
Now give me a chance, let me ask my question.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much.
They always like Solomon. The political program, they not be sure.
Yeah, I want to know the legal justification. Do you have any legal justification for amending the 2020 draft constitution? And also, is this a ploy to maintaining the 1997 constitution that gave unlimited time limit for the president to continue? Is this a plot, sir?
Let me start from where you stop. This is a very serious national undertaking. So I'm afraid I don't think we should even think of characterizing this as a ploy. I mean, I don't think nations or states operate for a joke. We cannot endeavor all these efforts and resources and you start thinking whether this is a ploy. It is not, to answer your question. Now, the legal mandate that you are asking about, whether cabinet have legal mandate to touch the draft constitution, in the absence of any express provision in the CRC Act preventing cabinet from touching or government from touching the draft, I know of no other legal provision that also said we cannot. If Parliament intended the draft to come to Parliament the way it was drafted by CRC, they would have put it in the CRC Act. But there is nothing in the CRC Act that says government cannot amend. And mark you, Even the constitutions that are existing are being, who implements constitution? It's a government of the day, whether it is this government or any other government. It is governments that implement, that are in custody of the constitution. Constitutional amendments are also initiated by government. So the thinking that government cannot touch the constitution, I don't know where this idea is coming from. It's a bill that is being introduced into the National Assembly.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very sorry for coming late. My name is Modusar, Daily Gambian. What I want to ask is about the issue of term limits. Because I can remember in August last year, we had a meeting here with the eminent person, Dr. Ibn Chambers, who was sent by International IDEA to discuss about this constitutional crisis. So I asked him this question, because I told him that he said that when he had a meeting with the president, he discussed with him about this constitution, this draft constitution. I told him that the only stumbling block that makes the draft constitution not to pass in 2020 was the issue of the term limits of the first term of the president from 2017 to 2022, which in the draft constitution, it was stated that it is going to be counted as a term. And the president and his supporters in the National Assembly are saying that that one will not be counted as a term. That is the main reason why the draft constitution was not passed. These other ones are those are just minor ones, but this is the main one. So now you people have made some changes. You wanted to bring back this draft constitution into the National Assembly. How confident are you that when this bill is back to the parliament, it will be enacted? Because it requires 2/3 of the members to pass. And right now, we know that NPP and its allies like NRP and all this thing, some independents, they don't form that 2/3. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we hope, and we sincerely hope, the National Assembly are Gambians, and they also want a new constitution for the Gambia. So they will play their rightful role. And to do this, they will not think on party lines. They will think across party lines and do the needful. That's our expectation. But because that is a legislative process, I will leave it to them. But we are very hopeful when it gets there. The National Assembly will do the needful, and I don't think they will only be guarded by their partisan interests. They will do what is necessary as Gambians to usher us into a new republic through a new constitution.
We still have 15 minutes. No, we are using that to
and you should join me in that optimism, and we play our part to make sure that we encourage them when the bill finally gets to them. They think like Gambians and look at the issues. Whatever they need to adjust, they have the powers. They can do all the adjustments that they want to do, and if they think it's fit for purpose for the Gambians, they let it go.
We give chance. I don't have asked questions before. Yeah. Two more new people, then after we use the remaining time to wind up. So if not asked a question before, you can be on standby to ask.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Mr. Minister, I just want clarity in regards to the 2024 draft. Yes, I'm Kemes Ensan, a reporter of Foreign and Kex News. I just want to be clear, you always mention emphasis on the 2022 draft and all the questions so far. 2020 draft. And all the questions are actually pointing towards 2022. The 2024 draft intend to replace the 2020 draft or the 1997 Constitution. And if it is the 1997 Constitution, I think the concept, because we don't have anymore a draft Constitution of 2020. It went to the Parliament and the people representative rejected it. They said it's not a document. So the comparison should be 1997 and the 2024 draft. But you made emphasis on this. Why the emphasis on the 2020 if it doesn't exist?
There is a draft constitution which was rejected in Parliament truly in September 2020, which was the 2020 CRC version, which we took to Parliament and was rejected. By the fact of it being rejected, it has not passed, so therefore it is not a constitution that is in force. But it doesn't change the fact that it is a document. All right? So our reference to it is the fact that it is an existing document. All right? Not because it is a constitution that is in force. Of course, you are correct. The only constitution we can make reference to, if we have to call it a constitution, is the 97 one, which is in force. But the comparison could be all of them. Because even the 2020 draft took a lot of things from the 1997 draft and maintained them where they think is good enough to maintain. And they took some clauses from other constitutions around the world that they think are relevant, are good enough to be kept. So we are making reference to 2020 just as a document, not as a constitution. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry, sir, I'm told that your organization...
Yeah, but Fact Check Center is a media entity, doctor. No, but Fact Checking Organization is a media organization. You cannot deny me from asking a question.
It's just one question.
No, but wait, no, wait. A fact-checking organization supposedly is a media organization.
That's true.
No, you cannot just, Dr. Jal cannot deny me from asking a question with that claim. If he doesn't want me to ask a question as an individual, I will drop the mic, but I want to let him know so that he knows for tomorrow that a fact-checking organization globally is a media organization. You guys can take your mic. I'm not going to ask the question, but he needs to know that.
If you are a citizen, you can answer the citizen.
Just allow him to ask a question. I have a question.
Any additional question? Now we are giving chance to only those who have asked before. Media organizations. It's called a press conference. So we have the banter bar for citizens.
It's a media organization. Your boss should know that.
Okay, so
anyway, thank you very much. That's part of the drama. You have a new question? One person? No further question. The man is already here, so we give it.
11:30.
Give the man chance to ask. You've asked 3 of questions. Let's not abuse the
No, you're turning this into a circus.
You love the circus. You love the circus.
You're turning this into a circus.
You love the circus. It's part of the show.
Honorable Minister, my question is on the retirement age. We have civil servants that are going to retire at the age of 60, and then you have others that are going to retire at the age of 75. So we want to tell us why do you have to have these 2 retirement ages for the civil servants?
Sorry, come back again.
We have 2 retirement ages for the civil service. Some are going to retire at the age of 60, and some are going to retire at the age of 75. So what is the reason for that?
The retirement age for 75 is only for judges, for judicial officers. So that's not for the rest of the civil service. If you ask for reasons, several reasons, but one of the reasons is usually judges, when they retire, they don't go back to practice. So their service more or less is for life. So they have a later retirement age, usually. This is best practice around the world. So the retirement age for judges is 75, but the rest of the civil service remains where it is under the Pensions Act. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have 10 minutes to go. That's going to be used to wind out and for the closing remarks. I understand, it's very interesting, the emotions, this is an emotional issue. People are, the passion. We all want to build a better Gambia, a very successful third republic. We understand the emotions are high. We understand the political pornography and the drama. But at the end of the day, let's look at the bigger picture. We have Gambia here. Let's follow the rule. This is an ongoing engagement. Government is open. We have various communication outlined. The spokesperson's office handles the strategic communication of the state. The Ministry of Information is here, policy oversight, implementing the ATI, regulating the media, organizing this interface. We have the Department of Information Services overseeing the deployment of information officers, to the various ministries. The MCU at the Office of the President, providing visibility for the daily activities of the President. So the channels for engaging the citizens are there for you. So this is ongoing. Time is against us. I would like to invite the Honorable Minister to use the remaining 10 minutes for the closing remarks.
Questions that you've said until 11:30, you're taking our questions.
Flex.
That's what you said.
Flex.
Look at the time. There's 10 more
Flex.
minutes.
No more questions. No more questions.
And you've just taken those 10 minutes from us. And the Gambian people need to know. This is not an open government. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General, for answering those questions. Members of the press, thank you very much for coming. The last press conference, I had said that journalists were not turning up for the press conferences. Today is a different story. It's a full house. And like I said, you are the main conduit between the government and the people. And in our aspiration and our drive to ensure the public gets authentic, relevant, timely information, we rely on you because you are critical partners. We thank you for coming. Every press conference has rules, and those rules must be followed without fear or favor. The rules are that journalists only who are registered with GPU and a list is provided from GPU prior to the press conference should ask questions in a press conference. Otherwise, what you do is you create anarchy. Anybody can walk in and say, I'm this, I'm that, and ask questions. We cannot allow that in our press conferences. It's either you follow the rules of the press conference or you don't come to the press conference. It is only for journalists who are registered with GPU and media houses. We get a list from GPU prior to the press conference. Those are the ones who are allowed to ask questions. Whether you are my father or my brother or my sister, doesn't matter. What matters is we have rules for the press conference. And those rules are you cannot ask more than three questions. We've given Flex a chance to ask on 2 different occasions. There are also others who are here to ask questions. We cannot give you all the questions to ask.
They're not asking.
But they are asking. You're not the only one here, Flex. Let's have respect for each other. When we engage, let's engage in a civil manner. We are not here to fight, or we are not here to quarrel. You can make your case across in a very nice civil way without quarreling or shouting or making tantrums. We cannot satisfy everyone.
There are some journalists who are registered members of GPU, but they are not affiliated to any paper or any media house.
You see,
You're just coming up with some of these rules.
You see what I'm saying?
You're making up some of these rules as we go that you're talking about. There is no list of GPU journalists that has been sent to you prior to this press conference. That is not true. That is false.
See, now you are exposing it. What I'm saying is,
You're giving false information to the public right now. There is no list provided.
well, that's your
from GPU for this press conference, and I'm telling the Gambian people that he is misleading everybody right now. As we speak. That is not true.
Flex, let's respect each other.
Let us respect each other.
Now, thank you very much for coming. Like I said, we work with the GP. We have a list already at the ministry. It's a directory of all the journalists registered with the GPU. We have a list, and we invite them to come to the press conference. And you are one of them, Flex. You yourself send me your email address for us to invite to the press conference. So please.
There are about 6 registered, fully paid journalists. The rest of them are not fully paid journalists.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you again in 1 month time. The next Mansakunda is on the 13th of September. Again, we're having the Minister of Justice again and the Attorney General's entire team. The Mansakunda is for the public. It's open to the public. That one you can come and ask questions to the public. And until we see you again next month at this last Wednesday of the month for the next press conference, we'll announce in due course which ministry is coming and which minister is coming. Have a good day. I think the chairman wants to have a group photo. Yeah. If you are in the mood for a group photo, we can have it.